Hey y'all, welcome back. And look what I got on my bench today. It's a Harman Kardon 330B, one of my favorites. I've done one of these in the past, and I remember I bought it on eBay and it came and it didn't have a power amplifier. So I built one using printed circuit service and installed it, got it working really nice, and that was a fantastic sounding receiver. This one is a little more complete, I think. It's still missing some stuff. We'll go over that here in a minute, but it's pretty rough shape. Let's see here. This is pretty good. It's well, you got some nasty gouges out of the side here, and aside from that, that will clean up. Look, somebody was hammering on this thing. Oh my God, it's all dented and oh boy, we're gonna have to do something with that. I wonder if I can even replace that piece. But aside from that, the knobs are there. Everything's, you know, the dial glass is not damaged, and I can see a little bit of corrosion down here in the crevices. I don't know if I'll be able to clean that up. That looks kind of severe. But you know, other than that, cosmetics are good. Some things are loose. This is loose. And you can see that. This power button's all wonky. It's bent to the side. Switches are there. They seem to be functioning. The top looks like it had a big sticker on here. I don't know what that was all about. And it's dirty. It's filthy. More filth on the sides. And sticker residue. I don't know what they had here. Something was taped. Sticker residue on the bottom. Some screws missing. So I think we're in for a little treat here. As far as I can tell, there's only one thing wrong with it so far. And I'm missing the courtesy outlet. Somebody stole it or took it out. Everything else looks original and undamaged. I'm going to check these speaker fuses right now. And that one's intact. And let's try the other one. This one's intact as well. That one's been heat stressed. That one came close to blowing, so maybe somebody's been pushing this thing. But anyways, I'm not going to plug it in because I don't know what's going on here with this courtesy outlet. If somebody just cut wires in there, or if it's busted inside or flopping around. So let's pull the bottom off. Let's pull the top and bottom off, and then we'll have a look inside, and then we'll see what direction we're going to take this thing. All right, so let's get this off. Underside, a little bit of smoke staining here from the lamps. Everything looks pretty good. What do we got inside? We got a couple wires hanging here. I don't know what that's for. That might be for lamps. I'm not sure. Where does it go? Oh, that goes to my tuning meter. So that's my tuning meter. Disconnected for whatever reason. Everything else looks original. Let me sneak in here. No, it's not original. We have D526, D526, and then we got two different transistors on the output. Somebody's changed the bias pot here on their one channel, and it looks like they've been replacing transistors here. So somebody's had some troubles with the power amplifier, and for whatever reason the tuning meter is disconnected. I don't know why. Everything else looks okay. Maybe some water damage here. Look at this. It's pretty dirty. Might have had water damage all along the back here. Maybe that's what caused the power amplifier to knock out. When you spill water on it or some kind of liquid, it usually is not very healthy for the amplifier. And the dial string is all messed up here too. What is going on? If I turn this, what is this spring? Can you see that? There's a spring here tied to a string. It's like it's giving it tension for some reason. Dial string's working. Okay, I think I have a good idea what's very dirty. And I'm pretty sure we got liquid damage back here, all along the back. So let's take the bottom off, have a look at that too. Alright, got the bottom. I don't understand why they had tape on here. Somebody had the bottom taped on. I don't know what that was all about. Let's have a look here. Let's see, really, this is all liquid stain here, it looks like. This bottom plate is all bent up too. I don't know if you can see that big dent on this one foot. It's like it either had several hundred pounds piled on top of it or it's been dropped. Dust is all original. Kind of a greasy dust too. It's not a dry dust. It's kind of that grease, you know, you get from the kitchens. So let's have a look in here and see what kind of damage we can see. Everything looks original. And yes, those transistors were changed out because I got on one side I got C1107s and on the other side I got a D520 something or other. Somebody's been marking here, resoldering wires. Power supply board is okay. Our can you see that? Here, let me change the camera around, zoom in on this mess. Here's our power cord coming in. Here's our power cord coming in. Here's a red wire cut, green wire cut, a green wire cut, a black wire cut. I don't know what's going on here. This used to have a wire here too. This has been a ground wire has been cut off. I don't know what that's for. And our courtesy outlet's missing. So what are we going to do about that? We're going to have to replace it. What is going on here? Okay, so let's pull up the wiring diagram for this, I guess. These two red wires are power transformer. Pretty sure of that. These two green wires, I think, are the power switch. They go to, there should be two green wires. What do we got here? One green wire cut. And a gray wire. There's another gray wire. Where does this gray wire go? Okay, the gray wire terminates to the line cord. Okay, so that's good. This goes to the power switch. And then the green wire comes back from the power switch. And the red wire is a transformer lead. Black one here is a power cord lead. And a green wire sticking out the back of the fuse holder. Is there a fuse in there? There is a fuse. It is a 2 amp intact fuse. So I do have courtesy outlets here. I think probably going to salvage something off another unit. So for example, I have this one here. This is non-polarized and looks like it's going to fit. Just need to get a couple screws, screw it in, and then we can rewire this primary of the circuit again. So let me get a schematic out and we'll get started. Okay, so I was a little bit busy. I had to find some hardware to mount this courtesy outlet on the back here, and I wanted to make sure I get the right hardware, black hardware. I had to dig through piles and piles for an hour before I found the right stuff. But at least it looks original, like the rest of the screws. So anyways, this is what I'm seeing so far. This wire comes in on the outlet and has to go to this terminal on the courtesy outlet, and also the red goes there as well. Now the green wire has been cut. The green wire comes from the power switch, so it's too short. I'm going to have to replace that green wire, but it goes to the other side of the courtesy outlet and it goes to the fuse. Now this lug here that I said there was a ground wire, there's actually a resistor. What is it, like 3.3 meg or something like that? I don't know what it is. I have to look at the schematic. But it goes down the chassis and it goes to this pin here on the courtesy outlet. I guess that's just a bleed off static electricity. So, okay. Get down with this. I got to replace that wire. Oh, another thing I think I'll do while I'm in here is might as well add a cross the line cap, because I don't see one here. And they don't specify one in the service manual either. It doesn't have it on the drawings. So I think I'm going to add one though. I think it'll only help suppress noise maybe. So we'll get started on that. And then I think I might have to remove this power switch. Okay, I just want to show you some of the grunge I've been finding here in the back of this thing. It's pretty nasty looking. If I look at looking behind the heatsink there, it's just thick carpet of crap and dust. And you know, it's all over the printed circuit boards as well. On the back side here mostly. Let's see here. Here's a phono amplifier. You can see it's pretty dirty too. Take that all apart and clean it. Got the front panel off. And what am I seeing? Oh, I didn't see anything. I think somebody's been in here before changing light bulbs. Let me show you. It's like somebody's put some Christmas light bulbs in here. I don't know if they're working or not. Somebody changed this one as well. Just removed the power switch to, I'm going to rewire this whole thing. Actually, I was doing some thinking about this last night, and I'm just going to remove this power cord. It's pretty nasty. Well, it's filthy, for one thing. It's pretty disgusting. That could be cleaned. But it's gone hard. Like, it's really stiff. It's not flexible like it should be. It's almost to the point where you think it's going to start cracking. But I'm going to eliminate that crappy old power cord, and I'm going to put a brand new polarized power cord on. Yes, it's brand new. And I'm going to rewire this so that it's more current with today's standards. If you look at how it was wired before, I'll show you. You can see it there. They had a 2.2 meg resistor to chassis off of one of the legs of the power cord. I'm going to put in a 3.3 meg, and then I'm also going to put a XY capacitor from the neutral line to chassis. So that should help with the any RFI, EFI suppression. And then I think I might put a cap across that power switch too, an XY cap or whatever they put on those. Sometimes they have a power switch capacitor. And yeah, I'm going to do that. But then I'm going to put that PC fuse. It's going to be the first thing the line cord's going to see instead of the switch. I'm going to swap those two positions around. And instead of the courtesy outlet being switched, I'm going to leave it live full-time on the power cord, so that it's a little different there. And then I can use those two terminals for making connections up. So let me get at this. I'm going to go outside and use the blowing machine to clean out whatever dust I can get, and then I'm going to start rewiring the primary here. Alright, so here's a look at what I've done. Let's see if I can find a pointy device. Line cord comes in, goes directly to the courtesy outlet. The neutral goes directly to the power transformer lead, the red one. The hot goes straight to the fuse. From the fuse, it goes straight to the power switch. Power switch comes back. You got your transformer lead here, so your 2 transformer leads, one switched. And I got a 3.9 mega ohm resistor to chassis from the neutral, and I didn't have a 3.3, but I had lots of 3.9, so I put that in, and I put it in a suppression capacitor to chassis from neutral, just to pick off any noise that comes in. So I just got to mount this power switch back in its place. I already lubricated it, cleaned it, and put this back in, and then I can flip it over and we can power it up for the first time. All right, so I believe I'm all ready to do my initial test. I'm gonna plug it in. It's shut off right now. And I did check the power transistors in the amplifier, and none of them are shorted. So I'm not expecting any fuse blowing or smoke letting or anything like that. I think it's just going to work, but it might not work very good. So let's turn it on. You got both channels. AM. Left channel, right channel. Pots aren't scratchy at all. Somebody must have cleaned them. Treble. Bass.
Again, you can text the 780-496-0063. Cam in Red Deer says goaltending wins cups. What did they like? Great Pat Burke.
It was actually working pretty good. I was expecting a little bit of scratchy noises and some other garbage, but we got one bulb out.
Thank you. Duncan, your kids, she lives in going for watching 5. See you later.
Okay, let's try FM. Do have a little scratchiness coming out of the right channel. Can you hear that? Okay. FM is out. You have no FM. Oh, I gotta turn it up, I guess. Spoke too soon. Where's the stereo indicator? It must be this one.
Mix 107.9 FM.
Let's get a little bit of help on the antenna end of things here. Where are my antennas? FM. Okay, FM stereo. There we got separation. We got light. Tuner's working.
You're not saying you've won, so.
Sounds pretty good for okay, let's go phono stage. Left channel's got a bad transistor. Let's see if I can pinpoint which one it is. A little bit of heat. I know what, it really doesn't matter because you know what, probably be better off just to replace all 4 transistors and be done with this. These are those transistors that are notorious for developing whiskers, and it sounds like you got a noisy transistor in there. Okay, no big deal. Let's try out auxiliary. I got the 1000 hertz tone. It's nice and clean. Shut that off. Full blast. Nice and quiet. Okay. Just checking to see if any of these transistors are overheating. They all seem okay. Even the outputs are cold. So, all right. So it looks like we got a good runner here. Light bulbs are all replaced with Christmas lights, but oh, that doesn't work. Oh, that's FM. I had one problem I found here on the bottom. I'll show you. Down here, this wire has been clipped. I think it's a ground, and I think it goes to this terminal here. If you can see that, the wire's in the way. This wire here comes off the tuner block, and then it's been snipped. So I think I'm trying to verify on the schematic if that's actually goes to ground or chassis. But I do think it is, but I just want to confirm it on the schematics, and I having a hard time finding this this terminal here. These terminals are numbered, but it doesn't seem to match the schematic. So I'm just gonna keep going with that. I'm probably gonna end up grounding this. You know, it's working without it, but still it needs to be grounded. So yeah. And then other things I've been looking at is the power amplifier board. I can see a few spots here where there's some damage to the PCB, lifted traces. Yeah, somebody's been doing swapping some parts and stuff, and they left a mess behind. Here's one trace that's completely ruined, and they put a piece of wire in there. So I don't know. I do have printed circuits boards for these because I made them, and for the last one I did, I made some up, and I have 4 extras, I believe. So I'm going to clean this with alcohol, very nice, clean, and get it nice and shiny, and get all the dirt off and flux. And I'm going to take a good look at it. Maybe if the board's butchered up pretty bad, maybe what I'll do is I'll just replace the board. It's not a big deal. Since I have it, you know, I have the parts, so it's not a big deal. Other than that, everything's just everything looks good, and we're going to do some ESR checks on some caps and go from there. Okay, so I got the power amplifier board here, and I removed the heatsink, and I removed the tracking diodes, and I removed the 2 output capacitors just to get the more access to the board. These 2 capacitors tested 100% good, so I think they're going to go right back in. These are the speaker output capacitors, and they tested, well, let's see, tested one, it was pretty much bang on 1000 microfarads. The other one here, I didn't test the other one. Let's see, it's doing both. So you test out at 1048 microfarads, ESR 64 milliohms. It's within spec. Here's the other one. The other one is 1093 microfarads and 59 milliohms. So they're both pretty good for their age. I might change a few of these other caps that are in the signal path. I don't know, I'll leave these ones alone. They seem to be working. I wanted to get this board kind of bared down because I want to get in there and give it a good cleaning. It's got all kinds of nasty stuff. I blew it off with the compressor, but it's all this nastiness is still on the board. I want to clean that off. I'm going to scrub it with water, hot water, and we'll put it out to dry. I still got a lot of work to do this. Look at the bottom of it. I'm going to clean that up. I think I might replace these trim pots because this one failed already and somebody took a stab at replacing it. They're supposed to be 3K, these ones are 3K, and these ones are 100K, so I might just replace all 4 of them. Another problem I see is somebody replaced a driver transistor here in one of the channels. It is supposed to be a 2SC 1509Q, and it is a 2SC 1364. So this is no longer a complementary pair, so I'm going to remove these and possibly these two and replace them all with brand new complementary pairs. And I think while I'm at it, I might as well replace all the outputs as well so that they're all matching and identical. So we'll do that. Looking at the other transistors here, everything looks original. Now here's another one that's been replaced. It's 1345 and they replaced it with a 1384. So I guess all they had was 1384s. Is that a 1384 or 64? I can't read. I think it's an 84. This one's definitely an 84. I think they're both the same transistor. So yeah, I'll have to, it's supposed to be a 1345, but then you can see these leads are black. You can see this is a 1345 to a C, and these leads, they get black if I scrape them. See, that comes right off. It's an oxide coating, and that is over time, it's that's what we get our noisy transistors from, is this whiskers. They can develop into whiskers. I think I showed this on another video, but I think I might even change these 1345s out as well, because they could, if I leave them alone, they could cause problems in the next few years. So I'm going to go clean this up and then I'll put it up to dry in the sun. Okay, been going through cleaning this board and seen a couple of problems with it. For one thing, this here, let's zoom in so you can see too. Let's look at this one transistor here. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, but all 3 pads have lifted. Somebody's made a repair by putting a scabby wire in here. This one's ready to break next on the other side. What is that? Probably the base. And the collector is up in the air too. All 3 pads. This transistor, these 2 transistors were replaced because they're supposed to be C1107s, and somebody put D526s in. It's working, but this one here, I was looking at this one too. This one, one of the emitter pad is loose on this one. I don't know if you can see that. Just a little bit of wiggling there, and it's moving around. And then there's a problem here with this trim pot. This one's lifted. This pad's gone. That's for a transistor. This one's lifted. And yeah, it's like we could use it and it would work, but what I want to do is make sure that this is reliable. So I'm just going to, I still have these boards that I made up, and these are direct drop-in replacements for this, and no broken pads. So I think I might go with this, put this in just to clean this up. I still have a few of these boards left. Like I said, we could use this board, but it would take some work. I'd have to fix up these pads. I don't want to, you can't trust that because, you know, it could snap. The little foil trace there could snap. It's already cracked through halfway. Yeah, I can see a little crack on one side. It goes 3/4 or a quarter of the way through already. the more it flexes, the more it's going to break. This one here, yeah, it's not far behind. So we'll go that way. We'll put a new board on. Alright, so I had a little bit of fun here building this kit. Or was like a kit. Populating this PCB board. Not much to it. I put all brand new parts, except I did scavenge the emitter resistors and the Zabel network resistor here. I did scavenge those from the old board. Everything else pretty much left behind. I'm going to leave those behind, those parts. All brand new transistors, brand new capacitors, brand new trim pots, the whole 9 yards. So this thing should be good for another 45 years. I still haven't mounted the output transistors because I'll wait until I get this back in the chassis and the heatsink mounted. I have the heatsink out right now. I did some cleaning on it. It was filthy. So I got this cleaned up. I'm going to put that back in the chassis and the board, and then I can install the transistors. And once everything's mechanically secured, I'll solder those four transistors in. I'm going to reuse the, where is it now? The temperature diodes. Where are they? Oh, they walked away on me. Well, they're on a walkabout right now. I can't find them. But I'll reuse the temperature sensing diodes. And I also decided to do something a little different with the phono amplifier. Instead of replacing the 4 transistors, I just decided to go with all new again. And I also made some of these boards just to try out. These phono equalizer amplifier boards, if you look through Harman Kardon's catalog, you'll see these are in a lot of their different equipment. These are in the A402, the A401, the 330, the 330C, the 330B, I believe. Well, this is from a 330B, and like the 430, the 730, and the 930. I think they all use the same board, but don't quote me on that. But so I made up some of these boards to try out. So I'm going to put this in instead of this. And we'll see how that goes. Actually, it's upside down. Okay, so we'll get busy putting everything back together. And find those diodes. No, that's not it. And then we'll start doing some other work. All right, I got everything back installed. Everything's connected and wired in. I have the heat sensing diodes. I almost forgot to put those back in. They were sitting on my bench, buried under something, so I didn't see them. Transistors are in, they're all soldered. Everything else is connected underneath and good to go. Now I have the phono stage. That's all installed as well, and that's ready to go. I did a bit of cleaning on this side of the chassis right around here, but the rest of it I just haven't touched yet. It's still dirty. I don't know if you can see the dirt, but it's definitely somebody spilt something into this thing. I think that's why the power amplifier blew on that one channel, and they had to replace the outputs because somebody spilled some liquids on here. But aside from that, everything else looks good. Not much else to say up here. I'm still thinking I might change out these 4 incandescent bulbs and put in 4 LEDs. Some warm whites. They're just indicator bulbs, but you know, we don't have 4 matching bulbs. We've got 3 and 1. And this is the stereo indicator, so I could take one of these good bulbs from here and move it over to here, and it'd be the proper bulb for this location. I think I might just do that. It won't be a simple mod to put 4 LEDs, and it should work good. I'm not cleaning any pots today. From the initial test, I didn't have any scratchy pots, so I'm just going to leave them alone. I don't want to spray anything into them if they're working good. I did lubricate the shafts, so they are pretty free flowing here, and this has been lubricated, so that works good. On the other side, let's have a look here. I did clean all the boards all the rosin flux off the boards. They were pretty caked up with rosin flux. So I did clean them off, and they look a lot better now. These two caps, power supply caps, I tested. They're okay. And I tested these two power caps as well, and they're okay, as well as the main filter cap here. That's okay. Everything's good to go. Power switch is back in, and I did add that ground wire. So everything under here is good to go. I think the next step is to set the bias. None of these trim pots have been adjusted yet, so I have to set the bias and the DC offset on these 4 pots, and I think that's next. Has to be one of the most rewarding parts of doing a repair for a piece of equipment or a customer is, for me anyways, is the cleaning, because I love to clean the unit after I'm done fixing it, just to bring out that shine and bring it back to looking new again. You'd be amazed at how many pieces look like crap when they come in, and then when you clean them, they look stunning. And you know, vintage audio gear is all about the looks too. It's not just the sound. It's how the piece was, you know, designed to look, and the materials they used and the styling. That's a huge thing for me. So I love giving it a good clean and bringing back that luster. Sometimes you can't do everything, but yeah, so right here I got a spot. It won't come out with glass cleaner anyway. What is that? Oh, it's some kind of a residue from sticky tape, I think. Yeah, and this one especially, it was really filthy on the inside. And I did some cleaning. I don't get too carried away with cleaning the insides, but I try to get the majority of the dust and dirt out and make it look like new again. See here, I got some corrosion around the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. Something corroded. I think that's corrosion. I don't think it would be anything else. I could try some alcohol, but I don't think it's going to lift. I don't get too aggressive with cleaners. Some cleaners can damage aluminum, and some... I'll try this first. Alcohol is pretty benign to metals, even though I do think these have a clear coating of lacquer just to protect the finish. Yeah, I don't think that's going to come out. There's little pits of corrosion, I think. So I'll just leave that at that. Not much you can do. Another thing you got to be careful with is the silk screening. You don't want to damage any of the lettering, because it's pretty much impossible to repair or replace that. And that is a lot of the aesthetics of the unit, is the font and the different characters they used, especially in the 70s vintage Harman Kardons. They used a different font. Okay, so I think that's good. Problem is the meter got cooked. You can see that it's turning quite brown. It's from the heat from the lamp. Not much you can do about that. I don't know if you can try bleaching it. I don't know if that would work. I've never attempted that. Maybe somebody else has or has done that. But I think it's not just the surface. It would be right through the plastics. The entire plastic is brown right through. So bleaching is only going to clean up the surface. It's not going to penetrate and do, depth into the depths of the plastic. Another thing is this here. Let me have a look at this. Let me zoom in on this thing. This is pretty chewed up here. I don't know if you can see that. Looks like somebody was hammering on it. I might remove this piece and then try a bit of file work to clean that up. But this piece can come out. It's pinched in here, top and bottom. They peened it to hold it in place, and I can just lift this, get a spatula or a knife or something under there and just lift the aluminum a little bit, and then this would fall out, and then I can do the work on this piece without damaging the rest of it. And then when I'm done, I could put it back together, probably with a drop of epoxy, and that would hold it in place, or I could try peening it back again. Alright, so we're going to set up the DC biasing on this, and we're going to set up the DC balance. Two settings. We got 4 pots. 2 of these are for the biasing, 2 of these are for the balance. We're going to go through the procedure spelled out in the service manual, which says I go across R432 and 431 for left and right channel, and I adjust R404 and 403, which is this one and this one, I believe. And we're going to set for 8 millivolts across the emitter, one of the emitter resistors. Now, sometimes on some amplifiers you can measure across both emitter resistors, but on this one you have to do it independently. Now, we're going to switch this amplifier on for the first time. One thing I want to do is I want to check for DC on the power amplifiers. So I'm just going to clip my ground here somewhere. If I can get a spot where these little clips will work, or probably right here would be best. And then we're going to switch it on and hope for no smoke. Not yet, anyway. And we're going to measure the power going into this amplifier. And we got 55.8 volts, which is normal. Across this amplifier, 55.8 volts. So they're both being supplied with the correct voltage. So let's get this connected across one of our emitter resistors, and then we can start doing our adjustment. If I can get this in here, my big fat fingers. So we have 1.5 millivolts. Let's start adjusting. These trim pots are brand new, and they came, I checked them with an ohm meter, and they came set to their midpoint. So I didn't preset them. I just soldered them in. So let's start adjusting this way. It's going down or up. And we're going for 8 millivolts. There we go. All right, now let's go check the other channel. Okay, I got it connected after a fight. There's got little plastic sleeves on there that's blocking the clip from going on the lead. So let's turn this on, and let's start cranking up on the. Okay. Going down, let's go the other way. Go up. Ignore the negative, it's just the way I have the probes hooked up. I got them hooked up backwards. It doesn't really matter for this test. It's all we're doing is measuring the potential across the resistor. We don't care if it's positive or negative at this point. Just want to measure the current across it. So let's set this for 8 millivolts. Close enough. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this cook for a while, and then I'm going to come back and test them one more time, make sure that they haven't drifted, because this will drift as this warms up. It's cold now. It seems to be climbing. Let's turn it down a little bit. Okay, I'll just let this idle, and I'll keep checking it, and we'll keep it zeroed in about 10-20 minutes after initial turn on. That's when it's stable, the amplifier is stable enough, temperature stable, that I can actually trust the reading. So I'll keep an eye on this and just give it a little tweak once in a while. Okay, we're back, and like I said, it's been about 20 minutes, and this thing's running pretty stable, right around the 7.8 to 8 mark. I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to try testing the other channel to see what it's sitting at. Alright, so we're a little bit high. I'm going to turn this one down. It should remain stable. There we go. I'll leave it at that. Might even be, that's good enough. It's going to float around that 8 mark. All right, so let's move on to the DC balance test. What do we have to do is we have to hook up an oscilloscope to the output, and we have to feed it with a sine wave tone. We're going to hit it with a maximum amplitude, and then we're going to set the balance. We'll show you up on the scope here. Okay, next adjustment is the, what's it called? DC balance adjustment. So what you're going to need is an audio generator and an oscilloscope. And what you want to do is you want to feed in a sine wave into the auxiliary input. No speakers connected. And you want to scope the output on the speaker connectors. So that's why I flipped it up, just so I can connect my probes behind here. It's a lot easier. And what we do is we turn it up. Let's see if we can turn this up. We can start to see a sine wave. We get their balance good. Okay, balance is centered. And we need our adjustment screwdriver. All right, so what we do is we increase the volume until we start to see clipping on either the top or the bottom. And we see right now we get clipping on the top and bottom on the, it's not too bad. On the left channel. Let's try adjusting the left channel. Where are we here? This might not be. Which channel is this? Need a better screwdriver. What you're trying to do is you're trying to balance the clipping on both the top and the bottom of the sine wave to be equal. And when you get it to that point where you can adjust it, I think I've got it. Okay, I think I'm doing the left channel. The left channel is the top trace. I'm trying to see. It's a 10-turn pot, so you don't have much. Yes, it is affecting the top trace. Okay, so if I go this way, you want to affect it so that the clipping is, I think I got it right about there, equal on the top and the bottom. You play with the volume knob at the same time. Putting 10-turn pots in this position is not the greatest idea, I guess. Okay, so I think I got it right about there. Let's see. If I hit that volume, starts to clip on the top and bottom equally, I think. Right about there, okay. Now we need to adjust the right channel, which is the blue trace. And it looks like it's clipping on the bottom before the top. So let's give this an adjustment. Maybe the other way. Changes are so subtle it's hard to tell. That's why I don't think it's a good idea to put a 10-turn pot in this place. I think it might be, yeah, right about there somewhere. Yeah, maybe a little more. It's such a fine adjustment. I think it's right about there. I think it's equal on top and bottom. I'm going to leave that. I think that's good for both channels. Alright, since I got it pretty much wired in for a power test, I might as well just hook up a dummy load and see what our amplifier is going to do. Our brand new amplifier. So I have it fed with the 1000 hertz tone into the auxiliary. Got 8 ohm load on the output. And let's turn this up. I need to set my voltmeter to AC. Okay. Let's see what we can get out of this thing. And we're getting a lot of clipping on the tops. Okay, let's eliminate clipping right there. And I'm measuring, which channel am I measuring? I'm not sure. And it's 13.25 volts RMS. I think I'm measuring the left channel. The left channel will be the top trace. Looks like that power supply cap is struggling. It's not even warming up. It might benefit from a new cap, and I think I might just do that. Put an 8200 microfarad in there. I have them here. I could just pop one in, and I think that would probably wake this thing up quite a bit. It would get rid of some of that flutter on top of the waveform there, the clipping. So let's try that. So right now it's not clipping, and I got, let's see here. Clipping's eliminated right about here. You can see it, and it's, let's say 13 volts RMS. Okay, let's pop a new capacitor in there and then we'll test it again. So here's the difference between the two capacitors. Here's the old one, 2200, 63 volts. 8200 at 63 volts. That's quite a bit of difference. There's 4 times the capacitance in this new capacitor. So I'll get this popped in, same physical diameter, so it's going to fit right in, and it's going to look original. Alright, so we got our new capacitor installed, 8200 microfarads. Going to do the same power test, everything else remains the same. We're going to turn it up. I got no power because I unplugged my amp. Okay, let's plug this back in first. Let's increase the volume, and we'll see what we start getting. Clipping. We got clipping there, but we don't have the flutter like we had before. See, we're going to back it off a little bit, just till we can take back the until the clipping starts. Right about there, and we are sitting at 13.92 volts RMS. So we got a bit of an improvement there with the power amplifier. Not much of an improvement, but it does make a difference when you upgrade the filter capacitor for the power supply. Gives it a little more stable power. It's able to take a little bit extra power out of it. So I'm going to leave that in there, even though this capacitor was tested 100% fine. I think it's just maybe a little underrated for the application. So, you know, if Harman Kardon spent the big bucks, they probably could have put a bigger capacitor in here, but they saw, okay, well, this one's going to do the job fine. We're going to get marginal improvement just by increasing it, so we'll just leave it at a low value, 2200, and yeah, we'll leave that alone. Okay, we're done with that. Let's move on. Okay, one thing I see as a problem here is these lamps, these indicator lamps. These are for the function AM, FM, phono, auxiliary, and somebody replaced one of these lamps already, and you can see that. But if you switch between them, they're not all the same brightness. I'll show you. Here's the phono, it's really dim, and then the FM and AM. So what I'll do is I'll pull these 4 lamps out, and I'll put 4 LEDs in, and then I'll just add a dropping resistor in behind here, and then I'll adjust that to give it the same brightness. We don't want the LED too bright, and I'll adjust the resistor to show that. Okay, this is what I've done. I've removed the 5 incandescent. Well, first I removed the board from this plastic holder here, and I removed all 5 of the incandescent bulbs, and I tacked in a 25K trim pot and a white LED, and I didn't care about polarity. This is 6.5 volts AC feeding this board. So what I'm going to do is turn the LED on, and I want to tweak this trim pot until I get the brightness I desire. And I think that's too bright, right about there. Let's see here, right about there. Let me try something here. Let me try something with this. Let me put this in front. And that's enough light going through. I don't know if you can see that. It looks a little bit cold though. It's a bit, yeah, I might go with a warm white. I don't like this cold. Let's see here. That is enough for an indicator, but let's see, I want to change the color of that. Okay, exact same setup. This time it's a white, warm white. Let's try this out. I think it might be set to the right current. Let's try it on here. That's a more pleasing color. It's not as blue, it's more green. And I think that intensity is good enough. So I'm going to leave it at that. What I'm going to do now is shut this off, and I'm going to measure the resistance of that trim pot, and then we're going to place a resistor. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut, show you what I'm going to do here. this, where these blue wires connect, this is the common for all 4 bulbs. I'm just going to make a cut right here in this trace, and I'm going to tack on a surface mount resistor of this value, and then we're going to call it, put the 4 LEDs in, and then call it a day. So with a Dremel, I'm just going to cut that trace, and watch your ears. I'm going to turn this on, it's going to be loud. Just going to cut this trace here. There we go, I think I'm through. Now I got what I measured on the potentiometer, the 25K little trim pot. I measured 1070 ohms. So my closest standard value is 1000 or 1K. So I'm going to use these resistors, and I'm just going to tack one across this bridge, this cut that I made. I'm just going to bridge it across, and then we'll reassemble. I'll put the 4 LEDs back in, and then we'll be done. Okay, we got our 1000 ohm resistor soldered in. I cut the trace, soldered in the resistor. I just wanted to do a continuity check, make sure it's not shorted. And we have our 1000 ohms. Let's see here, what's it measuring? Come on. Okay, we're reading 995 ohms, which is about 75 ohms short of what we needed, but I think that'll be a little extra current for those LEDs. So what I'll put this board back in, and I'll feed the LEDs from the front because the LEDs won't fit through the hole. Alright, I'm going to attempt some repairs on this right hand side. It's pretty beat up. It's got some really sharp edges and dings in it. And you know, the rest of it is not really the greatest either, but it's not as bad. So what I done is I took a screwdriver and I got in here and I started prying up both sides. And I also took another screwdriver and a hammer and I tapped, and it's starting to come out. I can actually see it's moving now, so I just want to continue moving this out, and I just want to be careful not to damage anything on the front. I don't really care about damaging back here because this is all hidden, but I'm just going to take and slowly move this out. There we go, I think I got it, this piece. And now I can actually straighten it. It's all bent. It's got a bend like this, and it's got a little wavy bend like that, and then this side's all chewed up. And the outside is okay, except it's not flat. It's got a, I don't know, it's got a wave in it. I'm not going to fix that though. I'm going to try and straighten this the best I can, and then I'm going to be taking a file, and I'm just going to very carefully resurface this, reface it, just like this. I'm just going to take it down very slowly. I don't want to take off, probably maybe 0.5 millimeter or so would probably be enough to take out all these dents and nicks. And then once I'm done with that, I'll take a burnishing pad or a Scotch-Brite, and I'll give it a brushed finish, just like the side is brushed. And once it's done, we'll put it back in and we'll reattach it. Right, so I've done some cleaning up here and it looks a lot better. It is actually smooth to the touch. It doesn't have any more sharp edges or gouges. There's still one spot here that's quite deep. You can see it. I'm not going to go after that because if I go take off too much metal, then it starts to become noticeable that it's been altered. It doesn't quite match the other pieces. So you just want to make sure you don't get carried away with the filing. And another thing is, I noticed that on the other pieces there's kind of a bit of a rounded edge. So I'm just going to take the file and round the edge on this one too, because after filing it's quite sharp. Just going to take it and give it a little bit of a 45 on both sides, just to make it feel a little smoother. And then you take a scouring pad and give it a brush. And that gives it a nice satin finish, nice brush satin finish. And I think, I don't know, you can see that it looks a lot better than what it was. So I'm going to put this back in. Actually, I'll use it. This has got rubber coating on it, so what you don't want to do is, you got to remember, aluminum is very soft. You don't want to create more damage than you're trying to fix. So, it looks a lot better, I think. And you can tell it's a little bit lower than the other, maybe like a few tenths of a millimeter. But that's good. I'm going to leave it like that. And then I'm just going to stake this down again. Can I use a punch? I'm going to do this right on the carpeting. Punch and hammer. And I'm going to give it a... That should secure it. It's tight. Not coming off. Okay, I'm going to put that on now. Next on the to-do list is this bottom plate. It's quite a bit bent here. I don't know if you can see this, but it's bent in about 3-4 millimeters. So what I'm going to do is remove the 4 feet, and I'm going to take it outside, and I'm just going to gently massage it on the anvil with a hammer, and see if I can get that back into shape and clean all this crap off. I don't know why there's tape on here. And give this a good cleaning. The other thing is the lid. The lid is filthy. I'm going to go outside. We'll give that a clean too. I got a trick for that as well. Looks like wax or something on here. A lot of these lids are filthy, and people think that they're painted, but they're actually not painted. They're actually wrapped in a vinyl, and this has a texture on it. It's kind of like a faux leather texture. It's got like a grain to it, and what happens is the dirt gets in the grain, and it looks, no matter how much you try, you can't get that crap out of the vinyl. So what I use is this stuff. It's called Spray 9. Probably comes as Spray 409 is another name for it. This stuff works great on this kind of stuff where it's embedded into the grain. You can see it just lifts it out. Now, a word of warning with this stuff. This stuff will eat aluminum, so don't get it near any aluminum. If you want to use this on your stereo, remove the lid first, and then give it a good scrubbing. You see how the dirt's coming out? It's just... yeah, so don't get this stuff on aluminum. And then when you're done, just give it a spray with water. You can see all the filth on there. I'm going to do the sides as well. You got to use a brush, otherwise you just won't get in there. And then we'll show you how it looks after it's done. Do the other side. This side had a bunch of stickers on it, tape. I removed some of the tape, but you can see there. Yeah, that's good. I think I'm just going to rinse that off now. Just with the garden hose. Okay, I'll dry that off and then I'll see how it looks. If it needs another application, I'll give it another application. Alright, we got it all back together. That was a big job. I didn't expect it to be that involved. But we did a lot of work to this thing and made a lot of changes. We had a semi-working receiver before because it had missing the courtesy outlet. Somebody snip and went in there and snipped it out, and that pretty much, well, it did render the unit useless. You couldn't even power it on. We put that right, fixed up the courtesy outlet, brought power back to the rest of the receiver, and noticed that there was some previous repairs that needed dealing with. There was some mismatched transistors. There was some lifted foil traces on the PCB boards, and it was just a mess. So we cleaned that up, put a new power amplifier in it, put a new phono amplifier in it because it was making a shot noise, transistor noise. So we got it cleaned up. So here, let's try this out. We got it on AM right now.
Fans, and when it comes to your team, go.
What the hell's that? Is that a digital station in there? I didn't know we had digital AM.
Our comfort zone, right? We're comfortable doing things how we've always done.
That's working good. FM.
Doors like around your neighborhood? No.
FM's working pretty good.
Okay. Like right now, you get Manchester United.
4 years ago, I pressed.
Comes in pretty clean.
Je vous le recommande chaudement. Geneviève, depuis quelques semaines.
Phono. Perfectly quiet. You got a little bit of hiss. That's normal, but it sounds clean. I'm going to look forward to using this one. So yeah, thanks again for watching. Not much else to say about this. Like I said, it was a lot of work, but we got it looking good again, and I think it looks really nice compared to what it came in as. It looked like a basket case. The top cleaned up nice. The sides, everything's good. So we're going to call this a wrap. So thanks for joining, and stay tuned. I got more stuff coming. Next is a Denon receiver. I got a dead channel, so I'm going to work on that. So take care and stay safe. Talk to you later. Thanks for watching.